This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to A Sharp Outlook on K4HD Radio and Talk 4 TV. I am Angela Sharp, your host. Our armchair discussions with industry experts will give you the steps, tools, and information to be successful in business and to prepare you to be your best self. Hello, and welcome to A Sharp Outlook. It's great for you tuning in today. Do you know one of the most valuable voices that you carry with you all the time? It's your voice. And your voice can be used for wonderful things, like encouraging people, lifting people up, singing beautiful songs, talking beautiful poems. We should raise our voices when we see things that are not well, or if we have someone in our family that's not doing well. Use your voice, raise your voice so that you can meet them at the point of need. And when I say raise, it's just I want you to talk to them or sing to them, but not yelling. That's not what I'm intending here. Today, we have someone from the Voices of Service. It is a veteran-based singing quartet comprising of Ron Henry, Christal Rheams, Jason Hanna, and Caleb Green. They are 4 military veterans whose voices carry a mission of hope, healing, and unity by highlighting the experiences and resilience of service members, veterans, and their families. Known for their powerful performances, especially their rise to national fame on America's Got Talent. I remember watching that. The group blends soul, gospel, pop, and patriotic music to advocate for those dealing with visible and invisible wounds, representing the excellence and strength within the military community. Since 2012, their harmonious blend has been more than music. It's been a movement. Their journey took a powerful turn on season 14 of America's Got Talent, where they captivated millions and placed 5th in 2020. Their talent earned them a spot on America's Got Talent Champions, but their impact extends far beyond that stage. Voices of Service fuses various genres of music to deliver songs of resilience and purpose. Through their performances, they uplift communities, inspire recovery, and create connections that transcend barriers. Rooted in service and delivered with passion, their voices echo a message the world needs, one of strength, unity, and unwavering hope, something we really need at this point in time. My guest is Dr. Jason Hanna. He is a member of the singing quartet Voices of Service and an intricate part of CAMO. CAMO, it stands for Center for American Military Music Opportunities. They have utilized their performance to increase awareness of the therapeutic impact and performing as well as listening can have on servicemen and women who are coping with the challenges of post-traumatic stress. Dr. Hanna has been singing with fellow military veterans Ron Henry, Christal Rheams, and Caleb Green in Voices of Service since 2012. Voices of Service continues to perform and use their music to inspire, uplift communities, and promote healing. CAMO, which I mentioned before, which is the Center for American Military Music Opportunities, is a nonprofit organization that elevates and empowers service members, veterans, and military connected families through music. On stage, their musical performances include Voices of Service, American Military Spouses Choir, Donnie Isaacs, and Camo Kids. have been in the spotlight on NBC's American Got Talent and an event around the world. Offstage, Camo provides music as therapy and music healing services that focus on unique challenges of being a service member, veteran, or family member. Camo is on the front lines of building a community of military music, creating opportunities for and mentoring musically gifted military members to join the music and entertainment industries. Dr. Jason Hanna is a vocalist and mentor in the military singing quartet, Voices of Service, best known for their top five finish on America's Got Talent. A former sergeant first class in the U.S. Army, Dr. Hanna is also a life coach, speaker, and advocate for mental health and music therapy. He uses his platform with Voices of Service to raise awareness for service members and veterans and their families dealing with visible and invisible wounds. I'd like to invite Dr. Hanna to join me.
Hey,
Good morning.
good
Good
morning, Miss
to see
Angela. How are
you.
you?
I'm great, and I want you to know I was watching America's Got Talent and saw you guys tear it down.
All right. We appreciate that. We absolutely appreciate that. You know, one of the jokes I always give to people is I say, "Yeah, you watched it, but did you vote? And how many times did you vote?"
Yes, I voted. I voted. I
Nah,
voted.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Miss Angela. Appreciate it.
Yes. Well, you just have a full plate of things that you are working on. And I just want to say I'm just so thankful to have you here.
Indeed.
Also, you served as a sergeant first class in the Army and was still an active member during Voices of Service 2019 America's Got Talent
Hmm.
appearance, where you placed fifth. You hold a Bachelor's of Science in Healthcare Science and a Master's of Science in Psychology, a licensed practical nurse in EMT, and formerly worked as a sexual assault response coordinator for the Army.
Indeed.
You are a head coach at Positive Perspectives LLC, coaching and leadership development company, and a certified Maxwell leadership coach trainer and speaker with expertise in relationship coaching, career transitions, and leadership development. And you previously served as the associate minister and minister of music for Victory of Faith Church. Man, you have lots of jobs. You
Yeah.
have been so busy and committed and dedicated to helping others. How does music help those that have visible and invisible wounds?
So, Angela, great question. And also, I want to say thank you for having me on the show today. I really appreciate it. Before we get
Absolutely.
started, but in terms of music, I think music has a unique way of reaching people where words can't. So you have folks that are dealing with invisible and visible wounds, and those wounds can be physical, or it could be something that's resulting from from injury, trauma, or just the weight of some other mental health struggles that they have going on. So I think for me, music reminds people that they're not alone, that there's a shared story, and sometimes that shared story is sung and not said. It's just an interesting thing that has a way of bridging barriers, or well, destroying barriers and bridging gaps between folks. And if they can't talk it out, sometimes they can hear a familiar melody and they can sing it out, and then
Mhm.
that will help them to break down those barriers to get them to the part where they can actually talk about what their struggles were and what some of the things were that they were facing. So music disarms defenses, brings connection, and it gives people hope again.
Wow, it's really, I when I first was thinking about this, it brought to mind my brother who went into the military, and he was even promoted. He had his, got his little stripes and bars and things like that, and then
Hmm.
all of a sudden he was discharged, and
Mm.
he came. He called, and I said, "Sure, come on, come and stay with me." And he was not my brother. There
Mm.
was just so many things he was going through. He just walked all night. He never slept. He
Wow.
wouldn't go to sleep. And I
Hmm.
eventually called a doctor, and they said he needed to be taken to the mental hospital.
Hmm.
And they took him in there, and they would give him medication to help him sleep because he really needed to sleep.
Yes.
Um, he eventually came out, and we got him into an apartment, and but that behavior started back again, and one of his friends came by to visit him, and he didn't answer the door. They opened the door, and there was the smell, and he had passed away
So
in the
sorry.
bed, had a massive heart attack because of the internal stress he was having from whatever he experienced.
Mm.
And very young man. And I wish I had had the knowledge. I didn't know what to do because it was frightening to my children. He wasn't the same person. Sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
But I have a passion to always reach out and to help veterans wherever I can. I used to do homeless, uh, visit the homeless shelters. I
Hmm.
worked on the streets feeding the homeless. I found a lot of veterans among the homeless, and I
Yes.
would talk with them, encourage them as much as I could. I even became a minister, and I had a church for the homeless because they didn't feel comfortable going to the other to go into churches. They did not feel welcome.
Wow.
And there was, I couldn't help him, but I
Yeah.
had to help somebody who was going through like him so
Yeah.
that I could make this right as much as I could. I just needed to share that because it was just bubbling in my spirit,
Yes, ma'am. Thank
thinking
you.
about him.
Yeah.
You Voices of Service still performs.
Hmm.
Where do you perform, and how do listeners reach the group for a performance? How do they reach your group?
So, we're still performing actively, and so Voices of Service, we've been blessed to sing on some pretty incredible stages, from, of course, AGT. We've
Mhm.
also been, several NFL games, WNBA,
Oh,
NBA games. So, and even the White House. So it's, we do a lot, but I just wanted to say this one thing. What means the most to us, though, is it's not the high profile performances. Those are great. Don't get me wrong; those are great. But what means the most is when people are able to come up to us after a performance or a concert or whatever, and they're able to say, we listened to your music on wherever they listen to it on, and they're like, I listen to it when I'm having a moment, and your words really, your words and your songs really have an impact on us, and it helps me get through a tough time. So I think those are the things that really, resonate the most with me I, as a healer, a person that just has a natural, tendency to want to heal people.
mhm.
But to answer your question, to go back to your question, you can, contact us through our website, vofservice.com. It's V, like as in voice, V of service.com. Camel's website, as well as social media. So all of those places, are places that you can contact us and reach us for bookings and find out what we're going to be doing and subscribe to
Mhm.
our newsletter and stuff, so we can send out information about what we're going to be doing and where we're going to be doing it at.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Now your group, you combine experience as a Maxwell Leadership Certified Coach
Mhm.
with deep psychological insights. How does this experience help in your dealing with your clients?
So the Maxwell, to me, the best way that I can describe it is it gives me the best of both worlds. So with Maxwell, you have the timeless leadership principles. That's stuff that, it's true for across whatever spectrum of leadership that you're going to be in. And psychology gives me the opportunity, or gives me the skill set to understand how people, they think, how they grow, and how they process things, and how they change. So those things, I can integrate both of those to help clients, um, not only set goals, but to break through mental barriers or things that hold them back. The thing that I say is moving them from stuck to unstoppable. That's my kind of like my catch line. I have two of them,
Mhm.
but yeah. So that's the thing. Yeah, using those two skills, leadership principles and, psychological training, to help people move from stuck to unstoppable.
As a decorated U.S. Army senior non commissioned officer,
Mhm.
corporate trainer, licensed practical nurse, and minister. How do these skills meet the needs of hurting people?
Whew. Okay. Wow. Great question. So those roles, what they okay, so they taught me one thing, really, to be honest with you. All of those roles taught me one thing. People need care, they need clarity. They need care and clarity, honestly.
Hmm.
So the army side of the house taught me discipline, taught me to follow through, to, check up on the details. And nursing is all about taking care of being an advocate for your patient. It's about compassion. So those are things that those are things that come naturally for me. And ministry is about giving people hope, right? Caring for folks, serving folks, and giving them hope. And the corporate training gave me it basically sharpened my ability to communicate to people across all different spectrums of life, whether they're CEOs or whether they're interns. So I was able to communicate with all folks across all the spectrums of leadership. Um, so when somebody's hurting as a result of all those things, and somebody's hurting and they happen to exist in those spheres, that mix of experiences, it helps me to meet them where they are, to make a long
Wow.
story short.
I know people that have some of those skills and they don't understand that that's the whole purpose of
Yeah,
the knowledge and the experience that they have. The experiences that we have, the knowledge that we have, they have a purpose. And you put those together to actually achieve something other than a paycheck. uh,
absolutely. Yeah.
Reaching out. We have a lot of hurting people, especially the younger generation right now, seems to really be hurting and
Hmm.
hurting others, in fact. And they grew up in during a time where there's been a lot of violence. I grew up, went to school, the most we did was like have like the bomb drill. We'd get under the desk but nothing was going to happen.
Right.
But they go to school trying to figure out how they're even going to survive every day because we're allowing people to just be active shooters in
Yes.
school and things when we can stop that. I
Hmm.
mean, that's what your skills are supposed to teach you that, okay, this doesn't make sense.
Yes.
Hey, it's called change it when you do the same thing over and over. I don't
Definition
mean
of
to be
insanity.
rude, but it's called insanity, right?
Indeed. Indeed.
You're not learning what's wrong then. You're not understanding the picture when you just keep doing it over and you allow someone's child to be gone, from their life. That I don't understand that kind of thought process, but that's why we have this show is to help you to get to the point you have different thought processes. You analyze better, you
Hmm.
do better, you use your voice for something better
Right.
than screaming on social media and the rudeness and the violence that we perpetuate there. So
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Yep.
empowering
Hmm.
empowering the people, not dictating.
Hmm.
And this is something we try to do.
Right.
Dictating creates a space for reflection, and you ask powerful questions and equip clients with practical, actionable strategies. How is that help?
So the thing about empowering is it's not telling people what to do. You can always tell somebody what to do, but that doesn't help them learn how to process and how to think. So
Mhm.
for me, it's about asking questions that help them to see answers that, and I use this phrase carefully. It's not so much that it's within them that is easily extracted, but it's something that they may have been thinking about. But there's this thing that we do as humans. The psychological thing is where we want to be safe. So success is actually a very risky and unsafe thing for our brains to process. So a lot of times we don't want to think about those things. A lot of times we have to sit with those things and think about them. And when coaches come in, is we say, "Hey, have you thought about this?" And they're like, But no, we need to think about this. We need to move this thing from this fight, flight, or freeze thing that you got going in the back of your, your amygdala, and move it to the front of
Mm-hmm.
your frontal cortex, where I can actually get you to think about it. Because when you're thinking about it, you're actually making better decisions, because you're actually thinking about how to move things from this part of this thing is happening to me to I'm going to take control in this situation, as much as control as I can. So that's the empowerment piece, asking the powerful questions, getting them to think about things that they normally wouldn't think about, and helping them to make those decisions that will move them forward.
What do you particularly focus on to assist those not sure of their purpose or their goals when you're, you know, doing your coaching and career,
Mhm,
transition training and leadership development?
mhm.
You know, how do you really assist them in that?
I think, man, for me, it's about starting with clarity. I know that's my through line, and it I struggled with that for a long time as a coach, because every coach needs a coach. So of course, I'm talking to my fellow coaches, and the thing is, always have your through line. Know why you do what you do, right? So the thing is, for me, it's about starting with clarity. Start with clarity, because if you know what you're supposed to be doing, or if you have an idea of where you're supposed to start, that's that whole purpose piece, right? And that's where people
Mhm,
get stuck mostly, is that clarity piece. So if we can get them to understand, let's start with what you know, right? Start with what you where you want to go. Let's start building the scaffolding from that standpoint. So uncovering what truly matters for people, and then help them align their choices, that they're going to make those decisions that I was talking about previously. Help them
mhm.
align their choices with those decisions. So once they get that clarity, they get that confidence, and once they get the confidence, that consistency is the thing that normally follows right after all of that.
Yeah, and the thing is,
Yeah.
I even for myself, I've always wanted to help people. When I
Mm.
was a child, I said I was gonna be a doctor, but that didn't quite turn out, and
It's okay.
that way I ended up becoming, an accountant and a software engineer.
You still help
Uh,
people.
that's what I realized. I go in and I help companies
Yeah.
right side their ship. I help companies get out of, tax issues. I help companies get new software systems in to make things more efficient. So I am helping. I help companies do the right thing so they don't go to jail. So
Absolutely.
I'm always helping companies, and then I'm always reaching out to help people. So in some ways I am helping, and I don't have to deal with some of the things that I realized I wasn't going to be able to look at.
Yes, ma'am.
As being a physician, it's
It,
like, ooh, I'm so glad I didn't take that path. I would not be able to handle that. So, still doing it. So, those skills that you're talking about,
mhm.
you still are able to use them as your goals and purpose. They just might transition into a lot of different paths. I know,
Yes.
I mean, I have so many reimagining my life. I don't know where I'm going to end up by the time I'm 125. I am living to be 125.
I
I've
hear
got to
that.
talk about
Me,
that.
me too. We're going to do that together.
I said, because some of the others, you read scriptures, they were in the 700s and 900 years. We done lost a couple years here. I want to recoup some of my years and throw 25 on the end of 100. My grandmother was 104 when she passed, so I know that I can reach,
Hmm.
125. So
Absolutely.
that's what I'm shooting for. So I want to stay healthy, so I can do what I do, help
Yes.
others as much as I possibly can. So, Dr. Hanna,
Hmm.
you say every person possesses seeds of growth
Yes.
within themselves,
Yes.
and so you help the clients to uncover those inherent strengths and build the resilience needed to thrive. How in the world is that done when most don't know they have seeds?
Yes. So, very simple. And it's so okay. Here's the thing about simple. Simplicity is it's simple, but it doesn't mean it's easy to do, but it is simple. For me as a coach, I look for the small wins. Um, I mean, when I say small wins, I'm talking like you made your bed today, because for someone that's in depression, that bed may have not
Mhm.
been made for a long time.
Right.
The sheets may not have been changed. It could have been a lot of different things. So the small wins are the things that I really, really hone in on, because when people can start seeing the small wins, they can grab a foothold in life. They can, or even a toehold in life, right? So,
Hmm.
and I always say that growth is hidden in the things that people are already doing, or the intent to do it. Now we got to move them from intent to actually action, but the growth is actually hidden in those spaces. So if we can name those things, those little small wins, and then help them water those seeds. Hey, you made your bed today. That's big. What was the thing that encouraged you to do that today? What was the thought that was going through your mind that helped you to do that? And then we kind of encourage them to keep having that thought, or what was that thought? It's a placeholder, or a mental monument, as I call them. So those seeds, you keep watering those seeds with consistency and with reflection. Again, thinking about your thinking, reflecting on those things, remembering why you did what you did. Why did you do the good thing that you did? And then let's
Hmm.
keep that going, keep those winning streaks going. So yeah, for me, it's just a matter of helping clients see, or people, not necessarily clients, but people see what they already have going on for them, and what it takes for them, that what's working for them to help them thrive, and then just keep nurturing that seed.
Yeah, it seems that there's so many people that have gone through trauma. And like I said, I come from a military family.
Hmm.
And I mean, from great grandfathers to grandfathers to uncles to cousins to nephews to my granddaughter's husband right now is in the military. I mean,
Oh
just
wow.
it's just, you know, everyone has known we need to contribute and be a part of what helps us to be a nation that is free. And
Hmm.
so, my family has participated and been a part, but some have come back. Like I said, my brother and then my uncles
Hmm.
becoming alcoholics. I mean, the trauma, when they get stuck in that space of trauma and trying to maybe deaden it with like the alcohol and things like that.
Right.
They're stuck. How do you get someone that's stuck? How do you get them, unstuck?
Wow. That's a great another great
From
question. Well,
stuck to
you keep
unstoppable. How do you get them there?
so to me, from stuck to unstoppable is all about momentum. We do have an issue, and it's the human condition, inertia. Inertia is one of those things that it we all have a form of it in one way or another. Procrastination. Why? Because we're fearing something, or we don't want to
Mhm.
move forward because there's something attached to that memory, or maybe we don't know what's behind this thing. But so in essence, being stuck is about hesitation, doubt, it's fear, those things and all those things are going to keep us from moving forward. But to helping people to move from that, it means giving them again the through line, clarity, right? Confidence and understanding, or at least helping them to uncover their purpose. I mean, I don't claim to be the person that would say, "Hey, I'm going to help you discover your purpose." It's not that, but I will help you with clarity, and I will help you with confidence. And I believe that purpose is found in those things. You can find it in
Mhm.
those things. So helping people to bridge those gaps, and by breaking goals into simple, small, simple steps, and then showing them, that it's progress over perfection. That's what builds the momentum. That's what builds that unstoppable momentum. It's progress, not perfection. That's the main
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So from stuck to unstoppable,
Yeah.
there's
Yes,
a
ma'am.
road map
Hmm.
to move past hesitation, which I
Yes.
think all of us, self doubt,
Absolutely.
by building the confidence and purpose.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
is there a specific strategy to do that?
Yeah, there's several frameworks that I use that will help with that role. One of those is mission reimagine. I use that a lot of times with the veteran population, because it helps them to kind of reframe what they were doing before, and what they're doing now. There's also what I call mental monuments. I alluded to that earlier. Mental monuments is all about helping clients identify things that they've already used in the past, concrete moments, things that they notice from the past, that where they've been successful. And I help them say, hey, there's this concrete moment that you had. You used this already. A moment when you were resilient, where you were faithful, where you were effective, right? So let's go ahead and look back at those monuments, those times and spaces, and we're gonna do a few things. We're gonna notice what happened. We're gonna really notice it. We're gonna examine it. Then we're gonna name it. We're actually gonna name the monument. Kind of like in the Bible where there were monuments that were built and they
Yeah.
named it. They said this
Hmm.
place is this place, and we're gonna name it this thing, so that way we can
Hmm.
remember. I mean, and what you have to do with that is you have to remember and then tell somebody else about it, so that way you can extend it. A lot of times it didn't happen that way, but we're going to try to do better. We're going to name it and we're going to remember what it was named, and we're going to remember to tell somebody else about it, so that way we can be held accountable. So then we're going to anchor that thing, right? So that's the next thing. What does this thing tell you about you? What is this story that you're telling yourself? What does it say about you? What are the skills or the things that you have to do to continue to keep these winning streaks going? And then the last thing you're going to do is apply it. How could you this same version that built this monument, how could that same version of you show up consistently all the time with that same clarity? How does that thing happen? So those are the things: the notice, the name, the anchor, and the applying the mental monument. So that's a really big one. That's a powerful framework, and it helps a lot of people out.
Especially probably those that have been in the environment of such discipline as military,
Indeed.
and their days were organized, and they know their successes and
Hmm.
things like that, and everything's on a plan. They're not like doing their own thing. They're, everything has a structure and a plan, and being able to at least bring back that part of the behaviors of the military.
Yes.
I know there was something that might have traumatized them, but that wasn't every day. So the good portion was probably just getting those disciplines, doing that work,
Yes.
accomplishing that task or that command that was done,
Hmm.
and being successful.
Yeah.
Does it? But going back to
Hmm.
that,
Hmm.
are they able to stay in that happy place where they're like, yeah, man, I remember doing that, and they, brighten up, or does it bring the trauma to the front?
See, that's interesting because now we're delving into therapy versus coaching, right?
Hmm.
So with the therapy and the coaching
Which
piece,
you do that.
right, right. Interestingly enough, so because I am very clear on this, I am not a licensed therapist,
Hmm.
right? I do have a psychology degree, but it's more on the academia, so that the research side. But that doesn't mean I don't have training in that area,
Hmm.
especially resilience training. So one of the things that you have to understand as a mental health gatekeeper is to understand where you're not in your depth. Say, for instance, a person has trauma that comes up during coaching. That
Hmm.
might be a good time to pause and to maybe refer to another practitioner that can help them with the trauma, because the trauma
Hmm.
part, if we can work with a person that's working with the therapist as well, because trauma is about unpacking what happened, why it happened, and moving forward from that space. And then for the coaching aspect, we pick it up and we say, "Hey, let's see what we can do as far as moving forward, despite the trauma, or even because of the trauma, we can still move you forward with a specific goal or specific tasks." So we work in tandem with therapists on that end. So to your question about the happy place, sometimes the happy place doesn't remain, and sometimes it does trigger something else, and you just have to be skilled to be able to hear what they're saying and understand when that's not my depth. I need to make sure that you get the help you need, and
Hmm.
we can kind of put a pause on what we're doing. Let's get you the help you need to deal with that trauma, so we can move forward with the other parts of your life that we can address.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like I said, I was working with the homeless on the streets, and they would tell me some things that had happened in their lives and things like that. I couldn't do anything but say, you
Hmm.
survived it. I didn't know what to say. So that's the only thing I could say is, you
Yeah.
survived it.
Yeah.
Now think about what you have experienced, and others are experiencing some of those things. You
Hmm.
can actually be a voice to help them get through it, because you did get through it. That I was trying to encourage them. I don't know
Right.
whether they followed it, but they got a happy and excited face while I was talking to them. But they
Understood.
probably do need to reach out to someone that has that, you know,
Yeah.
experience and that knowledge, because it's also an area that's pretty tender and can cause severe reactions, like you said, triggers,
Yeah.
cause some triggers that could get serious. So I don't think novices like myself should be trying to practice in areas that we don't have the license, nor the experience, nor the capability. We need to refer our friends and our family members to professionals
Indeed.
who can, like you said,
Yeah.
work them through that trauma area and bring
Yeah.
them to a point where they they can handle it, they can deal with it and not live in it
Yeah.
and move on. I mean, I still have friends that were went to Vietnam, and they're okay, and then all of a sudden something will occur and set off a trigger, and a a response that I have to like kind of step back. Oh,
Hmm.
okay, just be quiet right here, Angela. Don't try to be you're not the boss here. You
Right.
know,
Right.
you're not.
Absolutely.
You need to just be quiet and let them work through this moment here.
Yeah.
But then just probably understanding those triggers are really, really critical.
Right, right. And to your point, I'm sorry, I wanted to say something really quickly because I wanted to say, I know you said, "Hey, I'm not a professional," and but a lot of encouragement, care, and compassion goes a long way to helping
Okay.
people. Because if you can get them to just, to have hope for the moment, that's helpful
Hmm.
because that moment can bridge them to the next moment to getting them to the help that they need. But yeah, I do not despise, the Bible says, don't despise the day of small beginnings. Those little small tools that we have in our tool
Hmm.
chest of smiling, encouraging, and helping, just talking to them or sitting quiet, those things are very helpful too. So don't, please, how do I say, don't diminish your work in that area because it's helpful.
Well, I'm glad you're saying that, because one of the things when I was working with the homeless people, especially the veterans,
Hmm.
what saddened them the most, you
Hmm.
sign up and you put your life on the line for us back home. And then, yes, they've come home. Yes,
Hmm.
they're having some issues. They're sitting there on the side of the sidewalk, or they're just leaning against a building or whatever. And
Yeah.
they say people walk past like they're a tree, like they're not even a human being. They won't even look them in the eye. They won't even smile. They could say hello. They're not going to jump out and bite. I know, because I've worked with them for
Hmm.
like 10 years. Every Friday downtown, in this parking lot, we would have food, we would have clothes, we had musicians, like you said, music. They were
Hmm.
happy when they heard that music and clapping and everything.
Yeah.
And and when they talked to me, they said, I'm still human. And I said, I know. And I'm so glad.
Yeah.
And I would even look for opportunities for, restaurants or whatever that would even give them a little work or something to give them that pride. But
Hmm.
hey, they went over there for you to be able to have freedoms. And I think we owe it to them to at least give them a hello and a smile. Can we do that? Can we start saying hello and smiling at some of the people who are suffering because they were trying to provide you with the freedoms and all the things you enjoy and take advantage of on a daily basis? Just say hello.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
that's one of the
smile.
things I heard that, you mentioned something that you mentioned that, and it reminded me of, I can't remember where I heard it from, but I was thinking about homeless populations specifically and veterans, homeless veterans. And one of the things they said they could deal with almost anything, but one of the things that they was the most heartbreaking to them was the sense that they were invisible. Like
Yes.
like what you just said, it's like, it's like you won't even say hi to me. It's like I'm a person. Please just hello, you know. Because I guess most people think that, if I say hi, then I'm gonna, now I got to give them money and now I got to give 'em something. Like a lot of times you'd be surprised. It's like, no, they just want you to say hi. I'm
And
there.
you
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
and you know what? So put some change in your darn pocket. So if they do need some money, that's what we were supposed to do.
Yeah.
Love our neighbor as ourselves. We are supposed to feed the hungry. We're supposed to clothe the naked. So all of you are saying that you're following the book. Well, you must have missed a few verses. And
Mm,
I'm speaking for those that are hurting because you're ignoring them. And if you know you're going to go down the street and you might run into them,
yeah.
take a few dollars, take some change, do something so they can at least go buy a coffee. It would make their day. You
Yes,
have
ma'am.
no idea how much that would help with the healing process. I'm sorry I got on the
No,
soapbox.
you're
I
good, but you know what? Challenge accepted.
Yeah,
Yep, challenge accepted. Yeah, my wife always asks me, "Hey, because homeless everywhere. As a matter of fact, any one of us could be homeless. We're like one
yeah.
paycheck away from a lot of times
For the
catastrophe or
for the grace of God, there
amen,
go I.
amen,
It's only
amen.
the grace of God
Yep,
that keeps you from maybe being in that position.
absolutely.
And like I
Yeah.
said, working with them, it's just given me a different outlook on life. And yeah, I'm
Hmm.
always trying to help somebody. I mean, I even have people say, why don't you just slow down and stop? I can't because somebody needs help. And
Yeah,
if I'm able to help, I'm going to do so because that's what my hands and my feet and my mouth is for, is to help
absolutely.
others. I may not be suffering, but I'm going to speak up for those who are suffering. And, veterans who have put their lives on the line should not be needing to fight government to get their benefits. In fact, my father went to war, my uncles went to war, and they didn't get their benefits when they returned. And I think something still needs to be done about that
Wow. I
because
yeah.
there's still generations of them existing. And
Mm,
so let's make that right. How about that?
yeah.
Just how about
Agreed.
that? Do the right thing.
Absolutely
It
agreed.
goes a long way.
Yes, ma'am.
So you've told us about reflection and things
Hmm.
like that, a reflective practice designed to help clients recognize and celebrate their progress, their growth, and resilience.
Hmm.
So you said that you give them a mission reimagined,
Hmm.
a framework. So tell
Yes.
me how that works with veterans.
So with the mission reimagined, there's a lot of folks. A matter of fact, I talked to a young man who he went through his the way he described it, and I get it because a lot of us go through a version of this as retirees or folks that get out of the army or the military, whatever branch you're in. And he said he had went through his Alpha and Bravo plan, and now he was in this Charlie plan. So he's doing a job that he did not intend to be doing when he got out because he had all of these plans and had he didn't have a degree, but had all these plans to go into business and do all these other things, but all of that fell through. So long story short, he was kind of like in a sense where he was aimless, didn't exactly know, felt kind of lost. I guess that's the word. The best word to use was lost, and he wasn't sure exactly what he was supposed to do with that Charlie plan. Because I mean, he was earning money, but he's working himself like he's working 15, 16-hour days. Comes
Mm,
home, sleeps for a couple hours, and then goes back to work at 4 o'clock in the morning. And he's working until 7, 8 o'clock at night. So yeah, it's a lot. But one of the things I was able to help him with was to kind of tie his the mission that he's on now because he's in a service profession, and he was able to understand that well he wants to be a person that serves because that's why his business model was to be able to do service things, but he's also serving in this role that he's in currently. So he's working, his dual hat. He's still working the business, trying to get the business off the ground, but in the meantime I was like, well, let's figure out what this thing that you're doing now, how it's how it's helping you to be able to serve, but in a different way, kind of like the mission reimagined. Let's reimagine it.
mhm,
So giving you a little bit of again clarity of the mission that you're on currently, because it is a mission. You are serving people. You're just not serving people in the way that you thought you might be. So once we get that clarity out of the way, this is what you're doing. You're actually serving, right? So now you can walk into that situation with confidence and knowing that okay, I'm doing this for a period of time. It's a season, not forever, but it's a season. But while I'm in the season, I'm not just biding time. I'm not just, just marking time. I'm actually doing something. I'm making
Mm-hmm.
connections. I'm working with people. I'm having, building relationships with folks that he's serving, and helping him to remember that is what you were kind of doing in the military when you had the mission. It was readily defined. Now we're going to redefine the mission. You have to define the mission this time. Someone's not going to do it for you. Well, you have to do it, and I'm going to help you figure out what that mission is. So now we have that clarity of what the mission is. We move through that identity piece. Who are you now? Who you were, sergeant so and so, or specialist so and so, or major so and so, lieutenant colonel so and so. But who are you now? Who is that person? You still have those experiences, but who are you now? And now once we get that identity piece, we can work on, okay, what am I supposed to be doing? What on earth am I meant for? Right? That purpose piece. And so then we move it to the stages of practical planning. So what's the next chapter look like? What's the next few months look like? What's the next few weeks look like? Maybe we could do a 5-year, 10-year, but let's work on weeks, months, and then we work on the year plan, and then we work through that. So those practical steps, but really it's about structure, because a lot of times folks that are in the military, folks that were in the military need that structure. They need
Yeah.
that. Yeah, they need that structure, and you got to just bring it back to the basics. What were we doing before? Now that
Mm-hmm.
you're in charge of it now, it's not your commander. You are the commander now, you know.
Right.
If you're a praying person, if you're a believer, then God is giving you the instructions, but we're gonna tease it out. We're gonna figure out, God, what are you saying? Help me to hear you more clearly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
definitely.
Hmm.
I also think about the military
Hmm.
families. You know, there are family members that are involved in the healing of some of the veterans themselves. Their
Absolutely.
families are
Hmm.
part of that healing too, because they've been part of the trauma and part of the restructure in their lives and
Hmm.
things. So your organization also counsels the family members too, because it has an impact on them.
For
Uh,
sure. Yeah,
mhm,
vicarious trauma. Yeah, yeah. Because they go through the same things. I'm looking at I'm thinking of my relationship at home with I have 7 kids, 7 kids, me and my wife, and they're all adults now, which is great. It has its own challenges as being adults, but that's another story for another time. But I
mhm,
think about the almost 30 years that I served and everything that I went through. My wife she went through it in her own way, because when I
right.
had challenges that were, just ridiculous, she had to work with me to figure that out. When I'm struggling with different things or whatever, she had to work with me. So she was vicariously traumatized by that. And my kids also
Mhm,
got a little bit of
mhm,
that. They didn't feel it the same way, but it was still the same thing. So to your point, yeah, families go through some of the same things. So you have to be able to, incorporate the families in the discussion as well. And and for me, it's about what the client could be a family member, but sometimes it's the client is the military person or the veteran, and
mhm,
sometimes they want to get clarity for themselves. But we also try to work the families in as well, as much as we can. However, sometimes it's the family members that come for services, because they know, oh, you're family, you work with family members too. Yeah, because we want to help you guys figure that out too, and help your spouse who's struggling with different things, help them, figure out what the next best steps are, and for you as well, you know.
yes.
So
So tell us,
mhm,
to our listeners,
mhm.
what can we do to encourage, to help, to lift our voices or whatever, to make things better for our veterans, and especially those that have been, out of the active military for a long period of time? What would you recommend to our listeners?
Oh, let's see. If you are a retiree, and you are, let's say you are a retiree, and you've maybe you have a modicum of success, or you figured some things out. One of the first things I would say, reach back. I mean, seriously, reach back and help some of your brothers and sisters out, because there is a so we've gone through transition assistance programs, and that's the program that the military uses. So when folks are getting out of the military for whatever, whether they're retiring or their service is over for whatever reason, that TAPS is great. The problem is it's a fire hose. So you get all of this information and then you get out and then you find out that you missed so much because you were focusing on trying to, clear. You had for the Army, it's CIF, you got to clear CIF, all this other stuff that you got to do. So you weren't really paying attention. You were just trying to get out and figure it, and get on with your life.
Mhm.
And they're giving you, hey, we got all this information that's going to help you transition well, la 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 la. Great. But the problem is that once you get out, those services at some point, those services will end. It might be a while, but they will end. And a lot of times folks are trying to figure out how they're going to make ends meet, pay their bills.
Mhm.
Then there are those folks that are further out that have been out for 3 or 4 years that have figured out some things. They had some time and now they
Mhm.
know, hey, there's these things that I wish I had known. Those are
Right.
the things I want to encourage people. The things that you wish you had known that you know now, talk to your people. Go reach back to those folks. If you put it on social media, that's great. I'm
Yes.
always an advocate for saying use the social media. Hey, soldiers, did you know about this? There's a lot of folks I'm going to shout out that are doing great work. Latoya Green's one of them, retired Sergeant First Class Latoya Green. She does a great job of advocating for soldiers, and she's retired. There's other
Yeah.
folks that are working with folks that are getting their military benefits, their disability benefits. There are folks that are doing it for free. They just want to help
Mhm.
people out. Reach
Help
back.
others.
Yes, exactly. Reach out and help those people out. Take the information that you have, the knowledge that you have, and help those people out. Because really, that's what we're here for, is to work in community. So if we're not doing the community thing, then what are we really doing? That's
Yeah.
that's my biggest thing.
That's a good.
I
That's
could
a
get
good.
passionate about that. I get really passionate about that. So I'm going to stop at this point.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
just want to say I've enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much for being here on A Sharp Outlook. And for those that listening today, you heard what he said. Reach back if you've been in the military, reach back if you've been a family member, and help your other brothers and sisters that might be experiencing some of the same things. And we who have not, that doesn't mean we can't be involved and lift our voices to make sure they're getting their benefits, donating to organizations that are helping the veterans, and just finding out what's going on. Go out there in social media, whatever, and get informed and find out what is happening in
Yes, ma'am.
that area with our veterans. Thank you so much, Dr. Hanna, for being here. And thank you
Thank
for
you.
tuning in to A Sharp Outlook. We're here every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific Time. And as always, stay informed. I want to thank you for joining us on A Sharp Outlook. We have been informed and energized to take the next steps. We have posted links to websites and videos to learn more on today's topic. Please join us again next week for another thought-provoking conversation right here on K4 HD Radio and Talk 4 TV. Listen to the podcast on all the podcast apps. And until next week, stay informed.